You quoted in the piece that you have written, I think it was today, that this is a difficult week and we may be on the brink of war and so on, but you quoted the text of President Xi's conversation with Joe Biden. Now, that was 12 days ago. I raised this earlier with Peggy Grandy, that those who play with fire will perish by it. But, Greg, there's no release of the transcript. Biden's White House is saying that in that 2 hours and 17 minutes phone conversation, he challenged Xi on human rights issues. China is saying nothing of the kind happened. They warned Biden that those who play with fire will perish by it. How do we know where the truth lies?
Well, we don't, Alan. And I must say, anecdotally, I've had a lot of this experience in Australian contexts. I remember going to an Australian Prime Minister's briefing and he said, I raised with, the counterpart Prime Minister of the other nation this matter. And then I quickly ducked down the corridor and went to the briefing from the other country and asked them. And they said, no, that matter was never raised, And when I tried to sort it out later on, the pathetic kind of Canberra response was, they mentioned it in the corridor while they were walking up after the formal meeting. So that the truth is, without being too cynical about it, leaders tell you lies all the time. Now, If we're relying on Joe Biden's memory, we've got no idea what was said because he couldn't remember what he had for breakfast.
No.
But it's possible that, he mentioned human rights in some, some rambling speech or something. He didn't deny that Xi Jinping said the fire line, and that's a very rhetorical line for one president to say to another. For Xi Jinping to virtually threaten the American president, he who plays with fire will die by fire. I mean, that's a strange sort of thing for one president to say to another.
Well, the transcript's relevant. The transcript's relevant to these issues should be released by the White House. I mean, and they won't be because I suspect that they've been fiddling with the truth, and it'll just come closer to home. I made some comments earlier today. Penny Wong and Richard Marles seem to be making all the right noises, albeit with limited capacity to support the things that they're saying. But you have said if we, that is Australia, don't try our very best to understand what has happened as a consequence of this visit and make our own provisions arising from that understanding, we are a nation of fools. I would suspect, though, on the basis of our failure to adequately resource our defences, we are a nation of fools, aren't we?
Well, Alan, we've behaved that way so far. So the last 15 years have been appalling. The Rudd-Gillard-Rudd governments and then the Abbott, I love Tony Abbott, but the Abbott-Turnbull, Abbott had good plans, but he was defenestrated. The Abbott-Turnbull and Morrison governments, take them all together over 15 years, this has been an appalling failure to shape our defence force properly. We've had this ridiculous submarine saga. We're no nearer to a submarine now than we were 25 years ago. The only subs in my lifetime which have been brought into service were the ones commissioned by Bob Hawke. We don't have missiles. We don't have a single armed drone. You've seen what drones have done in Ukraine. We spend $50 billion a year on defence. We don't have a single armed drone. We've got tanks. How are we going to use tanks to keep the Chinese at bay in the South China Sea or in our maritime approaches? We've got heavy infantry fighting vehicles, which are perfect for use in Iraq or Afghanistan. But guess what? Our problems are not in Iraq and Afghanistan. Our surface combat fleet is pathetically underarmed. These ageing Anzac frigates, which are good sort of to police illegal fishing, but have no capacity to deal with a Chinese warplane. We're down to about 80 fast jets, not even at our normal complement of 100. We have not taken the business of defending ourselves seriously because we think the Americans will always do it for us.
Absolutely.
But psychologically, we are the equivalent of the Afghan government before the fall of Kabul. We just can't imagine that the Americans won't do it for us. No one is more pro-American than me, but I think this level of dependence is very, very dangerous.
Absolutely.